Okay, so I came back to the AM side of this thing after doing all the stuff to the FM, only to find that now my AM isn't working for some reason. It's kind of back to how it was before, probably even worse. So I tune around and there's that, that, and that, and that's about it. Very weak, and that's at its best. So something seems wrong with the IF. So for best performance, I gotta pull this can all the way out. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of quiet, hang on. If I pull it in anymore, it starts to fade out. The best way is to have it all the way out. This one's completely unresponsive. So this one's the one that looked the most weird to me, and I replaced it a couple times with a couple different ones that are compatible, and it's making no difference. I also replaced this capacitor here because it cracked, and it kind of fell apart when I pulled it out. Replaced it, but no difference. So my two theories were, and actually, signal generator also isn't being picked up at 455. Right now I have it full blast and it's not even picking anything up. So my two theories were either that the local oscillator wasn't working, or maybe this was bad, but I already did a bunch of experimenting with that, trying to replace it and like tack a cap under the original one and all that stuff, but no change. So I went back and did some voltage measurements, and here's what I found. Luckily I had these voltage measurements from before when it was working fine. And this is the weird one, TR104, which is this guy, which is right before this guy, or right after this guy. TR104, here are the voltages, base, collector, and emitter from before. And here's the voltages now. And it looks like there's a short between collector and base. The same thing's happening on FM. And I checked it, and there does indeed seem to be a short in there. Not quite sure if maybe that's the coil that's in between these two. So let me pull the the transistor, and see what the deal is. So here are those voltages. That's base 650 and collector 653. Let me do a continuity check. So there's continuity check between base and collector. And so it definitely looks like maybe a short or something. Although the weird thing is, if that thing's shorted, why is the FM still working fine? So the problem turned out to be the first FMIF due to the repair I did. The little solder patch I put in there was shorting both the primary and the secondary. So this is the base of that transistor here, and it leads into the secondary of the first FMIF transformer. Goes through here, goes into this pin here, and this is the secondary of the first FMIF, and it goes in here, comes out of here, and then goes into the first pin of the second AMIF, and it comes out through here, and then it just distributes into the circuit somewhere. And I was getting continuity between both primaries and secondaries of both of these transformers here, continuity all around here. And so yeah, what I did to figure that out was I isolated this pin here by cutting the trace, and so I still kept getting continuity between primary and secondary here of these two guys. Then I isolated the pin of the transistor, and I was still getting continuity between all of these sides here. So until I took out the transformer, did I stop reading that weird continuity there between those two sides of the transformers. So let me show you what happened here next. So this is the second FMIF transformer here, and I took it out for reference to see how it's built. The reason I need reference is because this is what's left of the first FMIF transformer. Like I said, it had a short, and in the process of trying to fix that short, I just ended up destroying the whole thing. It's very brittle. Here's what's left of the windings. A couple of the pins came out when I was trying to desolder it, and like some of the wires broke off right at the core, and it just all turned to crap. So now the plan is to rewind this thing. You can see I broke off one of the walls that holds the slug in place. Here's the ferrite core that holds the windings, and yeah, gonna have to use a whole new platform. Here's the slug too. Actually, wait, this is the slug over here. And so, yeah, plan is to rewind it now. I'm gonna put it on this platform here out of a more modern IF transformer. And these ones use this little plastic cube thing to hold the slug in place instead of little walls like this one. And then you just snap the plastic cube in place on the platform. And the magnet wire we're going to get out of a donor IF transformer, which has the same gauge and plenty of wire in it. And we're going to have to rewind this thing. So I kind of miscounted some of the turns when I unwound the old one. So I'm just going to do 10 center tapped, which I think is very close. And here are the two platforms. This is the old one, this is the new one. Shaped a little bit different, but the height is just the same where the ferrite core goes. And the only difference is that this one uses these little walls here to hold the slug in place, and the new one uses this little cube which you snap in place. And you know, just put the slugs in there. They're both the same. This is the original one, and this one's the old one, the pink one here. Slugs are exactly the same. Mechanically they're the same. And the cores are a little bit different, but the smaller one, which is the original one, it has this little pad on the bottom which adjusts the height, so mechanically they're the same. And the secondary of the FM transformer, IF transformer, uses silver wire, which I have here out of another FM transformer. And there you have it, one rewound IF transformer, 2 turns counterclockwise secondary, 10 turns clockwise primary, tapped at 5 turns. The only thing that worries me is that usually these are wound in the same direction, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was when I took it off. When I took off the secondary, it was counterclockwise, and the primary I know was clockwise. The other thing is, I think the second right side wind after the center tap, I think that might have only been 4 turns. I wasn't paying enough attention, but in any case we can take off 1 turn, although that'd be a pain in the ass. And there it is with the little plastic covering on top. I put the pink slug in there. So there's the radio working with the rebuilt coil, but it's not working quite right because it peaks all the way out. I already tried reducing the capacitor value all the way down to like 56 picofarad, I think. You can't really tell what it does. Like, once I changed the value all the way down to 56 picofarad, this one stopped acting right. So can't be that low. You can't have that low value in there. So I finally got the transformer put back in, and I had to take it out twice to take a couple turns off of it. The thing is, when I counted it, I totally remember counting 4 on one side and 5 on the other, which kind of doesn't make sense because usually it's half and half when it's center tapped. But you know, I probably got confused. So the first time I took 1 turn off of the right side, second time I took another turn off of the left side. Right now it's you know, it doesn't have to go all the way to the top to peak anymore. It's still close to the top, but it's not so high that it's hitting the can, you know, at the top. And I'm happy with it. You know, it's peaking a little bit different to this one now, but it's peaking fine. Currently going through the alignment procedure. It's working. This time I'm just putting the final touches on the AM alignment. Still not sure if I want to go back to the FM and retweak after I'm done with the AM, because you know the coils are related. But yeah, I'm just sort of putting the final touches on this thing. This time I attached directly to the mixer instead of laying a wire over it. These two are new IF cans, because when I had the problem I was trying to change this and see if it fixed it. And this one, it looks like somebody had changed it already. Okay, so I just finalized the alignment on this thing. First I did the AM, then I had to go back and change this guy right here, this capacitor, because I had replaced it with the wrong value. I put 23 picofarad in, and it turns out it's 0.022 microfarad. It had one of these orange ones in there, and the online code calculators weren't coinciding with each other, and in the end I ended up finding this other chassis which has the exact same capacitors in there, and it's got every single value printed on the board, and it says 22, it came out of the bottom here, 22 kilo picofarad, which is 0.022. So I just finished, you know, I did the AM and then I did the FM, and well, actually first I did the FM, then the AM, then I went back to the FM and got it really nice and peaked up, and it's really sounding good. So playing with this thing, I got it to get pretty symmetrical according to that little tuning pattern that I was talking about in the previous video, and I'll try and demonstrate that. So that's the first instance of that station. Then it comes in full blast. Then it comes in again. Then it disappears. Gonna go backwards on it. Appears, null point, reappears, null point, and reappears. Okay, so now just stay tuned for the stereo multiplex repair of this thing, which should be the last part of the whole series here, and after that I'll put it back in the cabinet and do a demo of the radio and everything. I might join the multiplex repair with the last video of the series when I put it in the cabinet and, you know, put it all back together finally. Not sure.